What's up, y'all, and welcome to Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe, and I hope y'all are staying cool and safe this week because out here on the East Coast, at least, it is hotter than a motherfucker. It is so hot, my thoughts are sweating. I got up at 7 o'clock yesterday morning. I was out the door at 7 o'clock yesterday for physical therapy. It was already 91 degrees. That is some absolute bullshit. But I digress. Let's get into the episode a little bit. With this time of year, we're in a weird spot because there just isn't a lot going on between now and training camp. That doesn't mean that there isn't something to talk about. We have a couple things to talk about this week, including a couple Eagles members seeing some of their dreams come true. We're going to talk on that. Plus, who's the latest DB who could potentially join the Eagles squad? And one of the newest Eagles calls out his former team. Without wasting any more time, let's dive right into it. Starting off this episode, we got some info on a potential addition to the Eagles secondary. Now, I would take this with a grain of salt like any other trade rumors you hear because we all know how it is with trade rumors and the Eagles and all that shit, all this hype that gets built up about it. But this could be an interesting addition. So, it has been reported that Browns cornerback Greg Newsome II has been the subject of potential trade rumors to the Philadelphia Eagles. Multiple accounts such as Heavy Sports, Eagles Wire, and Eagles Now by Chat Sports have all mentioned Newsome in some way as, quote, a candidate to watch and could immediately challenge for that CB2 spot. According to Heavy Sports, Newsome has logged 154 tackles, 34 PBUs, 3 interceptions, 1 sack, and 1 touchdown across his career. Now, after doing very little research, I don't hate the idea of adding Newsome. I don't hate it. He would add some veteran presence with at least 4 years of NFL experience, again, in a very young and I don't want to say inexperienced, but technically inexperienced DB room. And he would add some versatility, being able to play either slot or outside corner, as he has logged over 1,000 snaps across each position. This versatility, similar to Asante Samuel Jr., whom I spoke about last week, would allow Cooper DeJean to shift into safety and base defense and would allow Fangio to utilize base defense more often. And apparently, Newsome's been deemed, quote, a perfect fit for the Fangio scheme by some analysts, which to me is a positive thing because we've seen how successful players can be in the Fangio scheme, and if he's already somebody that could fit perfectly, that shines a better light than on some players, let's say like Bryce Huff, who didn't fit and whom Fangio had stated pretty much right before the season that he wasn't fitting right with their scheme, and we saw the results of that. Now, the downside is that the Eagles will likely have to absorb his almost $14 million salary, which would be the highest of any corner on the depth chart, and that's saying something about how he is just flexing on the league, y'all. But anyway, the Eagles do have the cap space to make it work, but then again, it's another higher than desired gamble. Additionally, according to Yahoo Sports, Newsome was demoted to CB3 on the depth chart last season, and he would eventually end his 2024 season early on IR with a hamstring injury. Plus, if the Eagles are confident in Kelee Ringo, would it make sense to shell out $14 million for someone who isn't going to start? That doesn't make sense to me. However, the Eagles do have a joint practice with the Browns in August, and this could give the Birds a chance to see Newsome in action, as well as for Newsome to give his chance to audition, essentially, and land a role with the defending Super Bowl champions. Overall, I believe this scenario is very similar to my take on Asante Samuel Jr. from last week's episode. And like with Samuel, if the price is right, shout out Bob Barker, I wouldn't mind the addition of Greg Newsome on the Eagles, especially if it already looks like he could fit perfectly within the scheme. It would just save a lot of time and growing pains if he's already able to come in and get the job done quickly. If everything works out and he somehow shines at that joint practice, the Eagles could add another young stellar talent to a defensive room that has high expectations. All right, y'all, shifting topics here. We got Kendall Lamb praising the Eagles' culture. We love to see it, y'all. So, one of the newest Eagles offensive linemen, Kendall Lamb, was picked up from the Miami Dolphins earlier this offseason, and his comments about the Eagles' culture have gone viral. Lamb spoke with ESPN where he stated, quote, "I understand why the Eagles reached 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Players are never late, never toxic, and after every practice, the room spends 15 minutes sharing personal struggles to stay mentally sharp. Something I never got with the Dolphins." Now, obviously, Lamb's taking a shot at his old team. There's no doubt about that. And to me, the whole comments show that despite the remarks made by players about former Dolphins, current Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, Fangio didn't seem like it was the problem down in Miami. But what's more important to me about Land's statement is that what he said specifically about the Eagles. Players are never late, they're never toxic, and they take time to share mental health struggles. That is a key component to a winning culture, y'all. And people wonder why the Eagles made it to 2 Super Bowls in 3 seasons. Yes, there is a shitload of talent on this team. There's no doubt about that. But the culture of any team, realistically, plays an important role in their success, whether you think about it or not. While players on other teams are chasing the bag and dodging camps and creating all this drama with their contract shit, the Eagles are supporting each other on and off the field. They're not worried about money. They're worried about themselves, each other, and championships. Mental health among NFL players, I feel like, is a topic that is not as discussed as much as it should be. It's getting there, but it could do more. However, the Eagles players and other organizational members make sure that there is no stigma about talking about mental health with each other. Football isn't just a physical game, y'all. It's a mental game too. And Lamb's words helped highlight that, you know? It's a small component of what makes this team so successful, and I hope that others take notice to help create the non-toxic culture in their locker rooms that the Eagles have done, as well as being okay with being vulnerable and opening up to each other about mental health. I praise Lamb for sharing these words about the team and the team itself for maintaining such a high level of positive culture to the point where newcomers already feel like family. All right, y'all, the last topic for this week is dreams. A lot of us have dreams, some big, some small. Some of us have 1 or 2 dreams, while others have a shit ton of them. For Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts and Eagles chief security officer Dom DeSandro, they just made a couple of their dreams into reality. Let's start with Big Dom, y'all. So, now I did not see this on my bingo card, but apparently he teamed up with celebrity comedian and actor Pete Davidson, out of all people, to release a sock collection. Yeah, that's right. Pete Davidson and Big Dom have a sock business now. Partnering with Double Soul, Big Dom's sock collection is inspired by the Italian flag, which makes sense. He is Italian. He wears the Italian flag on his shirts, pins. It makes sense. The collection's got 6 pairs of various styles of the flag or his signature along the socks, and each pair goes for around $13, or you can get the whole collection of 6 for just over $70 or so. Again, I did not see this particular event coming, but I'm not surprised at the same time that something like this came about with Big Dom, especially since the increase in his popularity within the Eagles community and even within the NFL community as a whole. One of his most notorious events came over the past couple of years when he got ejected from the game against the 49ers, attempting to break up an altercation between Eagles wide receiver Devontae Smith and San Francisco 49ers linebacker Dre Greenlaw, who ended up throwing a weak-ass punch at DeSandro, resulting in his ejection as well. Since then, DeSandro has been more in the spotlight than ever before, and I looked at the socks online. They look pretty dope. They look pretty comfy. I ain't gonna lie. I might have to cop myself a pair, but I'm not even Italian. But it doesn't matter. So congrats to Big Dom and Pete on living out one of their dreams. And the other player living up their dream, Jalen Hurts. He achieved yet another feat of greatness, achieving a childhood dream of writing a children's book. Earlier this week, Jalen announced the release of his debut children's book, Better Than a Touchdown, a story about achieving goals together and the power of teamwork and friendship. I was honestly very surprised when I heard this. I can't imagine people other than those who personally know Jalen Hurts, of course, would think that that was a dream of his. But honestly, I can't think of a better NFL player to release a children's book. Is that a little bit biased? Sure. But there's some truth to that as well. Jalen's been an active member of the Philadelphia community for a while now, and his foundation, the Jalen Hurts Foundation, is actively involved in helping the youth through projects such as Carry the Difference and Keep It Cool, that aimed to provide air conditioning and school supplies to children in Philadelphia schools. The Jalen Hurts story continues to be one that is inspiring to all, from getting benched in the college championship game to becoming Super Bowl MVP. Jalen Hurts continues to defy the odds and inspire those around him through resilience, hard work, sacrifice, and faith. He's taken those attributes and put them in a 40-page children's book, hoping to inspire today's youth so that they may aspire to work hard to achieve their dreams. The book doesn't release until March 10th, 2026. However, it is now available for pre-order on Penguin Random House. Congrats to Jalen on accomplishing yet another dream and for continuing to be a positive influence in today's youth. I can't wait to purchase that book and read it myself. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok with the handle at Second and 15. That's 2ND. AND15, or by the full name Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can also find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts. This episode, Second and 15, and Old City Sports Network are brought to you by Decals by Aaron. Check out decalsbyaaron.com for all of your Delco products and merchandise. Your number one spot for everything Delco, that is Decals by Aaron. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network. We will see y'all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle, and as always, go Birds!